Tonight, only on 11.
My whole family gone.
A father shares his feelings after an unbelievable loss that began 2 years ago. Plus, an Arkansas school finds itself in the middle of a controversy over what they thought was an instructional video for second graders. And new developments in our investigation of a Jacksonville funeral home.
Now, from Arkansas's News and Information Center, this is THV 11 News at 10.
A cold night ahead with possible chances for snow. Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Denise Middleton.
And I'm Craig O'Neill, and we want to get straight over to Ed Buckner for a check of your forecast. Ed, what are we looking at here?
Yeah, probably the first measurable snowfall of 2015 anyway, and the first, I guess you could say, since last November. It looks like we will see some snow in parts of the state. Let's first catch you up with what's going on right now. Just light rain across southern Arkansas. A little bit more of a moderate to heavier rainfall down toward Monticello and Dumas. Deshae County, Drew County seeing moderate rain, but again, it's all rain. Temperatures are well above freezing for now. Now, the rain returns to central Arkansas well after midnight, and between 4 and 10 o'clock tomorrow morning, we will see some snow mixing in with that rain. And the sun, well, it returns for the weekend, so this is not going to last long. Here's one new computer model to show you. It shows the swath of very light snow from Texarkana up towards Searcy and West Memphis. Again, accumulations mainly on grassy areas only, and not expecting any travel problems as temperatures will not get to freezing. They'll come close though. Look at our low, 34, with a 50% chance of rain and snow early, tapers off by noon, and then the sun could actually come out late tomorrow evening. We'll have more details and talk more about the timing of the system coming up in weather.
All right, Ed. Well, as this could be our first bout of winter weather, the city is ready and waiting to hit the streets. They'll have crews out with snow plows as early as 4 in the morning.
And the Highway Department has ordered 1,200 tons of rock salt for this winter season. They say they're ready to start pouring when it starts snowing.
Well, meteorologist Tom Brandon will have the latest forecast tomorrow morning, so be sure to tune in to THV 11 this morning.
And although we're not anticipating many of them, you can find the most updated closure list on our website, THV11.com. You can also find them on our mobile app that's available for iPhone and Android. It's a story we've been following for almost 2 years. It was a January morning in 2013 when a mother loses control of her car, sending her and her 5-year-old son into a frigid pond. She died in the pond there, and her son survived but went into a coma.
Well, after a nearly 2-year struggle, her son dies, and tonight a grieving father sits down and talks exclusively to THV 11's Marlisa Goldsmith. She has that story.
I lost everything. My whole family gone.
An emotional Dae-Young Yang sits down with THV for the very first time since losing his son just days ago.
The doctor told me, actually, he died.
7-year-old Leo was hospitalized after the tragic accident killed his mother 2 years ago.
My wife called me, say they are slide down the water.
It's a phone call he will never forget.
Ma'am, are you there? Yes, I'm here.
And a 911 emergency that forever changed his life.
Yes, I'm falling the pond, and I feel the water is in my car right now. I'm falling down.
On the morning of January 14th, 2013, Jingli Yi was traveling less than a mile away from her home when her car hit a patch of ice, losing control of her car, sending she and her son into a nearby pond. Police say it was here at the intersection of Rushmore and Cooper Orbit Road where Lee slid on a sheet of black ice. Since the accident in 2013, the city of Little Rock has installed underground pipes to drain water when it rains. Despite an ongoing lawsuit against the city of Little Rock, Yang is just trying to figure out how he will make it through each day.
I'm alone. Every day, just, cry.
Although Leo was most recently in the care of a nursing home, Yang says he was looking forward to several plans for his son in the new year.
Think Leo will recover just in time.
One of those plans included little Leo's surgery, which was scheduled for July 24th.
I never think Leo can die.
As this broken father heals from the loss of his wife and now his only son, He says there is one thing he can rest assured in.
No pain, no more pain.
Leo is now free of all suffering.
Mr. Yang is suing the city of Little Rock. That lawsuit is still pending.
Well, happening now, Little Rock police and Pulaski County deputies are in negotiations with a man wanted for battery.
Authorities have been at the scene since around 5 o'clock today. And we want to send things out now to THV 11's Kevin Traeger, who's live at the scene now.
And Kevin, what can you tell us now?
Craig, Denise, good evening. This situation is developing right now. We're in the southern part of Pulaski County off Arch Street and Vinson Road. Behind me about a quarter mile there, the SWAT team is in negotiations with this suspect. Earlier tonight, as you said, about 5 o'clock, they attempted, the Little Rock Police Department attempted to serve a first-degree battery warrant to this suspect, who they are not naming at this time. Those negotiations have not been successful up to this point. And just a few minutes ago, we did speak with Lieutenant Sidney Allen from the Little Rock Police Department. Here's what he had to say.
Based on conversations that they had with the suspect and with the companion that came out of the house, we were told that he was not going to come out. At that point, the SWAT team was then activated. About 5 p.m. they got there, and at this point we are still in the negotiation stage trying to get him to come out. Everything that we've done so far has been unsuccessful, but we are hopeful that he may still be willing to come out.
Lieutenant Allen says he does not believe there are any other people in the house with this man who does have a weapon right now. We're still waiting to hear back from Lieutenant Allen. He just went down to find out more information about what's going on right now. But for now, we'll send it back to you guys in the studio.
All right, Kevin, thank you.
Well, tomorrow, Arkansas funeral care owner Leroy Wood will appear before the state board on allegations that include stacked bodies and general disrespect for the dead. Wood has been the target of a nearly 2-week investigation that led to a temporary suspension of his license yesterday. Today, many families entrusted to his care say they're worried about the state and whereabouts of their loved ones.
It's upsetting. It truly is. I just want the remains found. And if they close that funeral home up, I won't shed a tear over it.
Well, many funeral homes say they'll credit prepaid funeral arrangements towards the new cost so that families don't lose any money. Right now, more than 30 bodies are in the care of the county coroner and medical examiner's office.
One of the big questions surrounding the election of Governor Asa Hutchinson, would he get behind the private option, Arkansas's version of Medicaid expansion? Well, today the governor urged state lawmakers to fund it, Arkansas's version of the Medicaid expansion. More than 200,000 Arkansans now have health insurance because of that private option. He wants to fund it through the end of December 2016. In the meantime, he'd like to create a task force to make recommendations for the future.
And the purpose of this task force is to find an alternative health coverage model to ensure health care services for vulnerable populations currently covered by the private option.
He laid out some guidelines for the task force. Number one, he wants to minimize the need to raise additional money to fund Medicaid. 2, he calls for greater flexibility when it comes to health care procedures. 3, he wants to improve health care access to rural parts of the state. And the governor says he'll require a report from this task force by the end of 2015, and by 2016 he expects to have a clear view of where to go next.
You know, it's a new day for Saline County as the first beer and wine sold off store shelves 3 months after voters turned the county wet.
Many customers are excited, saying the change will save time, gas, and boost the local economy. Prior to yesterday, alcohol could only be sold in private clubs.
Now, 23 business owners can sell beer and small form wine for the very first time. The Alcoholic Beverage Control Director says the process to apply for liquor store permits will begin in March. On Capitol Hill today, pro-lifers got what they're calling a gift from lawmakers.
The yeas are 242 and the nays are 179.
The House passed a bill banning the use of federal money for abortions.
This vote coincided with the anniversary of the Supreme Court's Roe v. Wade decision. Democrat Louise Slaughter objected to the bill, and an earlier one the House was going to take up, banning most abortions after 20 weeks.
But that bill was pulled last night after some GOP women protested.
Do you believe this was showboating?
Oh, it
it intended to be showboating, but it turned into a Titanic.
A Titanic, you believe,
failure.
For GOP leadership?
I do, yes, indeed.
The White House has threatened to veto on the bill that ultimately passed on a party line vote. The bill now heads to the Senate, where it's unlikely to gather the 60 votes necessary in order to be approved. Temperatures, well, they are winter-like, and that's going to bring the possibility of some winter weather for the first time in 2015.
That's right. It has the full forecast coming up. Stick around. We're back in 2 minutes.